Dear friends, we often say, a kind mother raises a spoiled child. So, is the method of a kind mother completely useless? Not quite. A knowledgeable person must master both the strategy of a kind mother and a strict father, and knowing when to show love, when to apply harshness, is the most crucial yet elusive key. What I say may be hard to hear, especially not easy to accept, but please stay until the end to grasp the wisdom of the ancients. Greetings to all of you. There's a saying, great love harbors cold teaching. To understand this better, you must clearly distinguish between two types of parental love. One type is tangible love. This great love has been praised from ancient times to the present because it is easily seen. A heart full of passion, fervent, merging as one with the loved one, inseparable. Because of this closeness, this tight bond, this inseparability, there is empathy. When the child is in pain, the parents feel pain too. When the child smiles, the parents smile too. To love is to love with the whole heart. That heart is empathy, a powerful and steadfast emotion. The second type is intangible love. These parents' love for their children is no less than the first type, but they build their love on towering heights, hiding their emotions in the depths of an ocean. Sometimes, their outward behavior contradicts their inner feelings. This type of love creates distance between parents and children. The loved one develops an independent, self-reliant personality. This is an extraordinary love, a love without empathy. It may sound cold, heartless, but in reality, it's not so. These parents also share joy and sorrow with their children, just like the first type. But when the child faces suffering, their compassion appears only briefly. Then, they decisively set aside empathy. Next, they enact the love of a strict father without a shred of pity, because they know sharing sadness is merely powerless empathy. Empathy is an impotent love. When someone faces problems and suffering, does empathizing with them help? From a practical, effective perspective, it is almost entirely useless. I know, some people hearing this may feel it's cold, cruel. But in truth, these parents are not heartless. It's just that their emotions have a far-reaching, wiser vision, so their behavior differs. We often say, a kind mother raises a spoiled child. So, is the method of a kind mother completely useless? Not quite. A knowledgeable person must master both the strategy of a kind mother and a strict father, and knowing when to show love, when to apply harshness, is the most crucial yet elusive key. A cruel father, an outstanding child. In the world of finance, there was a highly successful investor. Many reporters asked him, "What do you think is the key to the success of your investments and businesses?" His answer to many was surprising. He said, "Because I had an extremely cruel father." The reporters found it strange and asked, "How cruel was your father? Why do you thank that cruel father?" The investor replied, "When I was 10 years old, my father placed me in a very high place and told me, 'Good son, jump down, I'll catch you.' At that moment, I thought my father was playing a game with me. As I was about to jump from that height, ready to embrace my father, he suddenly stepped back 2 steps, raised his hand, and looked at me. I fell in pain, crying uncontrollably. As a result, not only did my father not catch or hug me, but he also said to me, 'You must remember this day forever.' This is the first life lesson your father teaches you. This lesson teaches you to be skeptical. Falling today will only hurt for a few days, but if you grow up and step into society without skepticism, you could be deceived and lose everything at any moment. Then, you might suffer for a lifetime." This talented investor remembered his father's teaching. Whenever he heard news or encountered a business opportunity in a market, no matter how enticing or supported by convincing evidence, his first thought was skepticism. And this skeptical attitude helped him overcome many major crises. A cruel mother, a strong child. Let's hear another example about a famous figure. Bill Clinton's wife, Hillary. In American politics, Hillary is a great hope for the Democratic Party. She is also a role model for all women, embodying the role of a remarkable woman. Why is Hillary so outstanding? It's because she had a very special mother. Her mother's love for her was intangible, but deeply rational. She used a special, cruel method to forge Hillary's success, a method ordinary mothers wouldn't dare use. The story begins when they moved to a new environment. One day, Hillary went out to play. She desperately wanted to make friends with the children who had lived there for a long time. However, being the new kid, not only was she not accepted by the neighbors, but they also bullied her. At that moment, Hillary was deeply hurt, felt unjust, sad, cried, and ran home to complain to her mother. When she told her mother only nodded once, showing no reaction whatsoever. The second time she was bullied, Hillary cried and ran home again. This time, when she reached the door, she saw her mother blocking the entrance with her whole body. When Hillary tried to slip through the left, her mother blocked the left with her hand. When she tried the right, her mother blocked the right. Hillary felt very strange and asked, "Mom, why won't you let me in?" Her mother said, "I don't want to see my daughter because she was bullied by the neighbors." Run home thinking that hiding in the warmth of the family will protect her. In this world, no one can protect you forever. If those people don't accept you as their friend, you must find every way to make them accept you. If they bully you, as long as it's not your fault, even though you're a girl, you must fight back, and you must win until they no longer dare to bully you. That's the good daughter of your mother. At this point, many mother readers might be thinking, why, when her daughter was hurt outside, did her mother not only not comfort her, but also block her at the door? Why teach a child to go fight? Her mother didn't use a love full of emotion to educate, but rather a love that seemed harsh, yet full of affection. If Hillary faced a problem, felt sad, suffered, and then ran home to her parents, and her mother gave her care and warmth, she would never think about how to face problems alone. Her competitiveness when entering society would grow weaker and weaker. In the end, Hillary could only face problems alone, deal with difficulties, and from fighting with the neighborhood kids, she became close friends. Under her mother's seemingly cruel and heartless training, she ultimately became a true master. Remember, compassion nurtures the weak. Only cruel love can forge the truly strong. Next, I will talk about the secret to making your children 100% filial. Many parents like to use filial piety to bind their children. Your parents raise you with so much hardship, you must be grateful to us. We ourselves don't dare to eat or dress lavishly. Providing the best for our children, you cannot be ungrateful. Parents often say this in front of their children, hoping their children will understand the sacrificial love of their parents and be grateful. In reality, this approach only makes children feel like you're imprisoning them. At the same time, this method will only lead to the failure of your hopes, because they won't be filial to you. If you think carefully, do you now love your spouse and children more, or your parents more? When your children grow up, get married, and have children, the love they have for their spouse and children will surely outweigh the love for their parents. But no one is willing to admit this. Some might say, "That's not true. I love my parents so much." That's because your parents are still healthy right now. By the bedside of long-term illness, there are often no filial children. Let me give you a small example. When your child was a newborn, you could clean their waste every day without feeling bothered. But if it's your sick, bedridden parents, can you do those things? How long can you do it? Even if you can, are you truly devoted? Surely you can. I know many will answer that way. But have you done it? For how long? Have you ever felt resentful? Of course. You might say again that on TV, there are reports of filial children caring for their sick mother for 10 years. But how many such cases are there? In contrast, stories of elderly people living lonely, tragic final days due to unfilial children are countless. Take my personal experience. My grandfather had 4 sons and 2 daughters. Back then, my grandfather's family was relatively well off. He had 30 acres of land and later a fairly nice house in the countryside. After his siblings got married, they treated my grandfather very well, competing to do this and that, each acting like a filial child. Then, when my grandfather was happy, he divided all the land and the house among his 4 sons. After the division, those sons never cared for my grandfather again. They even blamed him, saying he was biased, giving them less. In his old age, my grandfather suffered a stroke, bedridden, unable to care for himself. His 6 children argued back and forth over who would care for him, nearly coming to blows. In the end, when my grandfather was near death, there was still a chance for treatment, but my uncles directly gave up on treatment, and my grandfather passed away like that. Even more realistically, after the elderly pass away, my uncles held a kind of funeral feast in the countryside, where people come to pay respects to the deceased, then share a meal together. During the feast, my uncles and aunts showed no sadness. In fact, they were cheerful, their happiness evident. All the grudges among the siblings from before vanished in a single night, as if they had won a battle together. The teachings from childhood, like your body and hair are gifts from your parents, there's only a good mother, only a good father in this world, and so on, turn out to be so easily defeated. Don't think all of this is far removed from you. If you don't read this book, it's very likely that in your old age, you too will face such a tragic fate. So, how can you make your children 100% filial to you? Next, I'll teach you a valuable trick, one that must be learned from the emperors of ancient times. In ancient times, when emperors passed down the throne, generally, they would not pass it to their son while still alive. Thus, Emperor Yongzheng was over 40 when he ascended the throne. Some might say, we modern people are commoners, not emperors. We have no throne to pass to our descendants. Dear friends, you may not have a throne, but you have assets. Especially, most households have a house in the countryside. Look at how the emperors and landlord families of old did it. The succession strategy of ancient emperors was this. First, appoint a crown prince, draft a will, meaning the family assets would theoretically be passed to the children. But before the emperor's death, he would not pass the throne to the crown prince. If the crown prince was unfilial, he could immediately be deposed and the will revised. That is, when you pass away, the more houses and assets you have, the better. But before you die, your assets should not be divided among your children, always remaining under your control. This way, your children, to inherit your estate, will be very filial to you. The reason is simple. If your children are unfilial, you can completely donate all your assets to charity, or leave them to someone who treats you well. In short, no matter how harmonious your children are, as long as there's profit, who wouldn't want it? Not to mention, this profit only requires filial piety, earning both the reputation of a filial child and a hefty sum of money. Would your children be foolish enough to pass that up? If you divide all your assets before you die, afterward, you'll bear the consequences, because you'll go from a wealthy person to a beggar. I've witnessed this. During a festival I organized one year, a person had already divided their house, land, and so forth among their siblings. In the end, when the money was gone, so was the affection. In ancient times, in the Zhao kingdom, there was an emperor named Zhao Wuling Wang, not Zhao Wu Wang. Because he trusted his son, he passed the throne to him early. As a result, after his son received the throne, he felt his father's presence threatened his power. So he staged a coup, directly besieging Zhao Wuling Wang in the palace, leaving him without food or drink for 3 months, causing him to starve to death. You can trust people, but you absolutely shouldn't trust human nature. Dear friends, excessive filial piety can be a great tragedy in life. In reality, the topic of filial piety is very hard to discuss, as anything said can easily be criticized. However, the benefit of the internet is, for every person who opposes you, there's another who supports you. Unlike in your immediate circle, where a few inappropriate words can label you as unfilial, I want you, from an internal perspective of your original family, to slowly consider 3 different viewpoints, hoping to help you break free from the invisible moral chains. First, social awareness. Most of society consists of ordinary, mundane people because the majority of us are poor. To rise up, you cannot be bound by morality that drags on and drains energy. Each social class worries about its own issues. Our parents are ordinary. We are too, and our children naturally inherit that ordinariness. The world is inherently unfair. Parents are the starting point for their children. Those with poor family backgrounds, whether seeking jobs or partners, are at a disadvantage. Thus, we can only clearly recognize reality and seize the opportunities of the era to earn more money. That is the mark of wisdom. Most people belong to the working class. When you truly start working, you'll realize that not only do degrees not help you, but your parents can't either. In fact, there are many invisible moral chains binding you. Only when you truly understand that without money, you cannot protect your dignity or survival, can you focus and let go of trivial matters to build your career. Second, true filial piety requires practical action. Many ordinary people, after starting a family, often lack the ability to care for themselves, let alone repay their parents. Yet they like to pretend to be filial on social media, standing on a moral high ground to criticize others. In reality, parents have their way of life, and we have ours. Many people are influenced by their relationship with their parents when working. You can respect your parents' strengths and flaws, and that is the boundary of love between us and them. When you acknowledge and respect that, happiness can emerge. Don't linger too long in emotional conflicts and internal struggles. Don't use traditional culture to justify your mediocrity. Our culture doesn't encourage living for oneself, and that suppression is a great tragedy of life. If you're truly filial, earn money and take practical actions to improve life. Third, don't fight human nature. The reality is, human nature is described with brutal honesty. You must step into reality, not live in a novel. Many people, when old, have wealth and savings, but that doesn't guarantee a good life, let alone filial piety. Those around them only hope they pass soon to inherit their assets. That's human nature, and you cannot fight it. The only comforting and warm thing in this world is one person genuinely being kind to another. A person, even if criticized by everyone, if they're truly kind to you, you must acknowledge that goodness. I believe most relationships between spouses and parents and children are based on this. People need to pursue a quality life, starting with improving their finances. Children from well-off families with educated parents will have more freedom and respect. Every need has a cost, and the costs arising from these needs can be covered by parents with good conditions. But children without such conditions can only obey. All suppression and limitations stem from the cost of control. In reality, humans struggle to adapt to worse conditions. No one wants to live in poverty and destitution. When you choose to compromise with your parents and end up blaming fate, you're actually still short-sighted, choosing short-term social security without seeing the long-term impact of that compromise on yourself and your family. True sobriety and maturity lie in earning more money and enhancing your capabilities. Remember simple yet rigid truths. The allure lies in complexity and depth. True filial piety is managing yourself well, doing the right things, and having enough capacity to address the survival and dignity of your family. Finally, what I share next is also quite important and necessary. Please try to listen to the end. Asterisk, asterisk, what do women want most in marriage? First, it's a sense of security. So what is a sense of security? It's when a woman has enough food and clothing in life, and when facing difficulties, someone shields her. Many women may not have love, but they marry for a sense of security. This is a core need for women. The first thing women think about is my husband a reliable person? Can he give me a safe and stable life? Women are very practical, and this isn't anyone's fault. Women's sense of security is often weaker because they are the weaker sex. Who can provide women with a sense of security? It's men and family. If the family and the man cannot provide that security, they will have to seek and take it themselves. As a result, women become pragmatic, craving money and power. So, you cannot blame women for living pragmatically. If men and families cannot provide security, women's pragmatism is just a natural consequence. Many men complain that women are too pragmatic. This is only seeing the surface of the issue. In reality, it's not that women love money, but without money, they cannot survive. If women or their families fall ill, how can they afford treatment? How can they care for the elderly? In a male-dominated society, women's status is limited. Women don't have the power to change a nation's rise or fall. That responsibility falls on men. However, many men blame women for the family's failures. This is the irresponsible behavior of incapable men. If a woman has enough security and assurance, like healthcare, education, and care for her parents, she won't prioritize money or desperately chase it. Happiness will follow, and love will become more natural. Second, women need to feel valued. Emotionally, women always want to be the most important person to their man. They often jokingly ask, "If your mother and I both fell into the water, who would you save first?" This shows how much women need to feel valued. In real life, you rarely hear women compare their husbands to their fathers, but they often compare themselves to their mothers-in-law. Women want to be recognized as important in their husband's eyes. How do you make your wife feel valued? The best way is to give her some private time, not with the children or parents, but time just for the two of you. Every day, just 10 to 15 minutes, listening and talking with her, sharing the day's events. At that moment, women will feel that they are truly valued.